Hello, I'm Olivia Tuisl, and this is my DSARI energy audit for BBE 2201. My home background is that I live in a 3-story house that's 4,600 square feet. I have a family of 5, and my house is located in a southwest suburb of Chicago, Illinois, and it's around 44 years old, and the insulation and electrical was done professionally. The energy context of residential use in the U.S. is that the residential energy usage ranges from around 140 million to 220 million British thermal units a year, and the majority of residential energy use in the U.S. is from heating and cooling. The process for this project is that I measured 8 appliances in my house. For the light on the lamp, I looked at the wattage on the bulb and recorded that. For the remaining 7, I used a kilowatt EZP3 meter. To measure constant power devices, I unplugged the appliance from the wall, plugged the kilowatt meter into the wall, and plugged the device into the kilowatt meter. After that, I turned the device on, set the meter to watts, and I waited around 30 seconds and recorded the watts. For phantom power, I did the same procedure, except I did not turn the device on before I recorded the watts. To calculate total daily energy use in watt-hours a day, I took the wattage of the device and multiplied that by the average hours the device was on to get the watt-hours a day on. I did the same thing for the phantom power of the device to get the watt-hours a day off. I added the watt-hours a day on and watt-hours a day off to get the total watt-hours a day. For my variable power device, I again used a kilowatt EZP3 meter, and I measured my dryer. I did not measure the largest contributor for this. Again, I unplugged the appliance from the wall, I plugged in the kilowatt meter into the wall, and I plugged the device into the kilowatt meter at 10:30 p.m. on Tuesday. I set the meter to kilowatt hours, and I checked the meter at 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Then I multiplied the kilowatt hour reading by 1,000 to get the watt hours, then divided by 24 to get the average wattage of the device. This device had no phantom power, so I took the average device wattage and multiplied by 24 to get the total watt-hours a day. Here are the photos of each appliance. And here's my daily time log, and I rounded to the nearest hundredth. And here's my energy audit table. So I recorded the watt-hours a day on and watt-hours a day off, as well as the hours a day on and hours a day off. I calculated the watt-hours a day on, watt-hours a day off, and the watt-hours a day total for each device. After that, I calculated the kilowatt-hours a day total and the kilowatt-hours a month total, and for the month, I used 30 days, and I rounded to the nearest hundredth for everything besides the watt-hours a day off and the kilowatt-hours a day. These are my comparisons of the average US wattage of each appliance to my wattage. So every appliance was relatively similar except for 2, which included my dryer and my TV. So my dryer had a relatively low wattage because the average US was around 3,000 watts or 1,800 to 5,000, and mine was 1,480, and I attribute that to my dryer being very old. And for my TV, my wattage was also very low because I recorded 46.2 watts, while the average US wattage was 240 or a range of 80 to 400 watts. And I also attribute that to my TV being very old and very small. A summary of what I learned is that my dryer was the biggest source of energy out of all the appliances I measured. I also did not measure the biggest contributors in my house, which would be my air conditioning, heating, and water heating. I thought my dryer would have a low wattage compared to a bigger appliance like my TV, but it had similar wattage to my dryer and my vacuum. Some improvements I can make to my energy consumption are that there are many appliances I could cut back my use on, such as my hairdryer, my TV, and my portable fan. These are my sources, and this was my DSARI energy audit for BBE 2201. Thank you.